So I am absolutely obsessed with the brand Uncommon James, which was actually created by no other than Miss Kristen Cavallari. It's the perfect one-stop shop for everything beauty, lifestyle, home, and jewelry. I have a few pieces from the jewelry line, and I'm always getting so many compliments. It's beautifully crafted and perfect for everyday wear. If you are interested in checking it out for yourself, you can head to www.uncommonjames.com and use code Veronica20 for 20% off your purchase. That's code Veronica20, Veronica 20 for 20% off your purchase. You can actually head to the show notes and tap on the link to have the promo code embedded to your shopping experience. But again, that's code Veronica20 at checkout for 20% off your Uncommon James purchase. Hello, and welcome back to Martinis and Bikinis. I am your hostess, Veronica Droulia, and we are having a lot of fun on today's episode. This was the first time a guest has made me a drink, which was such a fun turn of events. So allow me to introduce you to our guest today, Ali Krupnik. Ali is the founder and chief wellness officer of MyWellCo. She has worked with dozens of the top 1% of businesses, such as the Wall Street Journal, Bulgari, Airbnb, KPMG, and Poosh, to create disruptive consumer experiences. She is a certified health and wellness coach, graduate of the Zero to Dangerous course by Stephen Kotler, and has been in the luxury event marketing and hospitality space for 13 plus years. She's the host of the Wake Up Well podcast, Reset and Recharge Virtual Wellness Summit, and her insights have been featured in dozens of wellness podcasts. Ali leverages the power of micro habits and science to create wellness that works solutions, leading to new revenue streams, brand affinity, and a competitive advantage for luxury brands. In today's episode, we are going to chat all things wellness, events, dating in the wellness scene, habit stacking and routines, and so much more. So without further ado, my little teenies, please welcome Ali to Martinis and Bikinis. Hello, and welcome to Martinis and Bikinis, the podcast for everything under the sun. I am your hostess, Veronica Droulia, and I am here to help you navigate your 20s through all things lifestyle, beauty, and fashion. So, if you're ready, let's dive into today's episode. So, you have to tell me what is all in this drink again, because yes. I just watched a whole performance, and it was hilarious because you were like, I'm not a bartender. And then you started telling me everything you were putting in. There's a shaker. There's literally something to foam the milk in. You have like the whole setup. So tell the audience what you've made for us, Ali.
So this is my take on a non-alcoholic espresso martini. And it has superfoods and functional mushrooms in it. So base of it is Ketone IQ, which is ketones, which will just make you feel like really flowy. Then I did some cold brew coffee, mushroom cold brew coffee. And I did a non-alcoholic coffee liqueur. And then I did a coconut rose foam. I did some happiness tonic from Anima Mundi.
Love.
And topped it with a cute little porcini mushroom.
I love it. And she's so cutie pie. For everybody tuning in via video, you have to look at how gorgeous this is. I think this might be the most gorgeous drink I've ever been served. And
you deserve it.
Thanks. You too. I think it's so funny because I'm usually the one doing the serving. I'm not that great at serving. So now after seeing you serve me, I have like a whole different perspective on what I should be doing for my guests, because that was absolutely fabulous.
Anytime.
What are we going to call this? Just an elevated espresso martini?
I call it the Chagatini.
Chagatini.
Yes.
Well, cheers, Ali.
Cheers.
Welcome to Martinis and Bikinis.
Thank you.
That is so good. Can I like eat the mushroom after?
Yeah, you can, for sure. They're grown indoors, so you don't have to wash them because they don't have any pesticides naturally. You can just eat them.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a lot of different
fun things
happening today. I think this is the most fun that I've had on the show in a very long time. I'm always having fun, but I love having little toys and demonstrations and new drinks to try. So this is amazing. But I would love to learn more about what is sitting on our laps.
Yes. So what we're going to do first, we're going to get it started for you. So on your app.
Yes. It's called Halo. And there's different modalities. You see like recovery, performance. So just pick one. So you can go to
Maybe we're going to do, I think I'm going to do performance. So I'm going to do level up if you want to join me in that. But
I would love to level up.
That's going to give us some dopamine boosting effects here.
Whoa.
So
I press play.
Okay, perfect. So you won't feel anything. It's just going to sit in your lap. It's called Halo. It's a PEMF device, pulse electric magnetic frequencies.
Whoa.
And basically what that means is it's helping restore your body on a cellular level. So it's going like as deep as possible. It's helping your cells, supporting like detoxification, better sleep, focus, just helping to like recharge your cells and just really give you a boost. And you just do it at any point. So I'm all about like habit stacking. So I love just like sitting and watching TV, or if we're just having a conversation, having a meeting, keeping it on your lap, and the cells are going to work.
This is so incredible. I also love habit stacking and just doing just different things throughout the day whenever I'm like preoccupied with something. And just trying to, I guess, level up while I'm doing my day-to-day activities. So I absolutely love that you brought these. This is so fun.
Yes.
So hopefully I just have like a rush of dopamine after this and during it.
Between the drink and this, you're going to be
We're going to have so much fun. So I would love to learn more about you.
Sure.
And usually how I start these off is just something I like to call the roots. So you can just tell us where you're from, maybe how you got to where you are today, everything that you're doing, your story. Feel free to share as much as you want.
Okay. All right. So I'm originally from Connecticut, born and raised, and I lived in Manhattan for 5 years on Upper West and Upper East. And I guess kind of like I was thinking through like the roots part of this, and I think like going back, I was always the girl who like planned their own birthday parties from like a very young age.
Yes.
Like my mom was like, you were like weirdly overly involved like as like a toddler like trying to like plan your birthdays, and I would always like make brownies for friends, and so I just like always had like a rush for like events and hospitality from a very young age. And then I was also the girl growing up who like at her 14th birthday party was like, can we also have some grilled chicken in addition to like the hot dogs you're serving? So I feel like that's important for like where I am now.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, exactly. And I moved to LA in 2019. I came here originally to do an events position with a company called ArcLight, which is a movie theater brand that is no longer, RIP. And they went completely under during COVID. And I was stuck like most of people were, and I didn't know, okay, what do I do from here? Because at that point I was full-time events at marketing agencies. And I always had a passion for wellness, but had no idea what I wanted to do with that. I got certified as a health and wellness coach in 2018. And then so when this all kind of like happened, I was like, all right, now is my time to really figure out what I want to do with that. And that's when, during that COVID time, is when I started my company.
That's incredible.
Thanks.
I think it's so interesting how you went from health coaching to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And I would love for you to just tell us more about Well Spirited and all you have going on. I feel like you are doing everything involving wellness, the tech space, helping with events for just huge brands. And just telling us a little bit more about your business.
Yeah. So I guess like the overarching like theme of my business is just trying to make events healthier. Mm-hmm. I just felt that it was a very toxic environment for events, that there's so much business travel, there's travel burnout, and just like the method of events was just a lot of excess. Like there's lots of caffeine, lots of late nights, lots of drinking. Mm-hmm. And I just felt that there was a better way to go about it, and that there are ways to integrate wellness into events that aren't just like yoga.
Right.
So I felt like there was a big opportunity in the food and beverage scene, and specifically with alcohol, where like all the options for like non-alcoholic and as a starter were just like sugar water, just like pure sugar, and just like you can drink 3 of those and be just as hungover as if you had a glass of wine.
It's so basically like the same cocktail, but without the alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And I just wanted to find a way to like be able to still socialize, but like be able to do the shit you have to do the next day. Like, I don't think you have to like choose one or the other. And I wanted to find a way to like harmonize those and offer those in the same settings for events. So Well Spirited was born after the desire to just give people better options of better for you cocktails in general. So using like cleaner spirits, like no additional additives, no simple syrup, just using wellness superfoods, and then also giving them the option to switch to non-alcoholic if they want to.
That's amazing. I was telling you after you made this and I tried it that I would probably never drink again if this is what all my drinks looked and tasted like. So you're definitely on the right path. But I think it's really interesting how you saw this need to integrate wellness into not even just corporate, but for these events and for these brands to honestly have like better team building too. Because, you know, whenever you go to these different conferences and things like that, it's usually teams just getting like really drunk together and then feeling wiped out the next day. They can't get anything done. But I feel like whenever you're doing something stimulating for your mind and your body, it cultivates a better team environment.
Totally.
So I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And it's changing the whole concept of like team building and events and all of that completely.
Yeah, totally. I know. One of my aha moments was when I was traveling for a conference and I was on like a red-eye flight. And there were so many great people that I wanted to network with and connect. And I literally was just like, my body physically cannot. Like, I have to go to sleep right now. And I'm so tired. I feel like crap. And I missed out on so many networking opportunities because of all of the, you know, with all the travel indulgences. Like, if I could just have like a 2-hour opportunity, just like, you know, go get a sweat in, have some compression therapy, like get an IV drip or something like that, I would have been able to like be more present and focused for those conversations versus like just being so exhausted all the time.
Right. So walk me through what it would look like to work with you. Let's say I was going to a conference and I had just gotten off a red-eye flight and I was just now walking into the conference of the event. What would that look like if I were working with Well Spirited, or maybe I was like the CEO that was working with Well Spirited?
Yeah. So 2 ways. So generally, like a lot of the corporate brands will come to me if they're like, hey, we have a overall wellness initiative within the larger company as a whole that they want to translate that into events, and they just want help doing that in general. So some of the offerings I do is Well Spirit is the name of the bar experience. So we'll do that as like a pop-up. I'll curate the cocktails, bring in the different brand partners, work with the teams to execute them to make sure that they look good. And then the other element that I do is like a wellness lounge that I call Reset Recharge. And I will completely like fabricate and create this immersive wellness environment that has like anywhere from 3 to 5 different circuits, like with the PMM therapy being one of them, people can kind of engage in and just like treat it as like their own spa kind of. So they'll just pop in and they'll go to the different experiences and then pop out and just ideally feel so much better.
It's funny because it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you ever had this experience at birthday parties when you were little, but there would be these like vans that would come and they would have like video games and like virtual reality stuff. And I feel like it's cool that you have like these little pop-ups of different activities that people can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's super cool. I'm like so impressed.
Thanks.
And I don't know if you do like retreats or anything like that, but
somewhat.
Are you more into like the conference style as opposed to like the retreat?
I'm more into like the business to business, like corporate place, because I think those are the areas that need it most right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And kind of like if you're already going to a retreat, they kind of like already have that covered.
Right.
It's more of like helping people level up so that they can maximize their time at the conference.
Right. I actually saw that you helped a brand launch an Erewhon smoothie.
Oh, yeah.
And it was with Winnie Harlow, who is like so cool.
Yeah.
And I've like loved watching her journey as a model and obviously now a big celebrity. But I think that it's so interesting how brands have started using that as a marketing tool. Because I actually just had on Alyssa Lynch, who she actually had like a secret matcha at Erewhon a few years ago. I feel like she was like one of like the OG people that had like a product at Erewhon. And now it's like all these big time celebrities and brands that are buying like their way to get a smoothie or like some sort of like product feature. Yeah. I would love to get your opinion on that and like how that's like helped leverage brands and brand awareness.
It's interesting. I think Erewhon has just done such a great job of just being this like behemoth of a brand that like will charge astronomical amounts of money and people will pay it.
Oh, for
and,
sure.
like on both the consumer side and on the brand side.
I'm going there for dinner tonight.
Yeah, exactly, as you should. But I like the model, and it's kind of like the philosophy behind it is kind of how I do my cocktails as well.
Right.
Like I kind of like to unofficially like be inspired by the Erewhon smoothie style into my drinks. That's why I had like so many different, like we put Inamundi in here, we put Symbiotica, we put culture shrooms, like kind of like creating those different concoctions. So it's an interesting business model.
Absolutely. What was that whole process like?
Oh yeah, so that was with Steen's Honey, which is a raw manuka honey based out of New Zealand.
Yum.
And I really love them because they are like the purest form of honey, and it's just there's no bullshit in it. It's just like actually pure. It's like good for the bees, and they have good values, and they're just lovely people. But they were based in New Zealand. They're like, hey, we are part of the smoothie, and we need help like representing our brand with this launch. So I was kind of an extension of their brand and kind of helping to get their marketing assets over for America.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I love that you're into this like PEMF therapy and micro habits and habit stacking. When did you get into that? And what are some ways that people can start integrating that into their lifestyle for more productivity?
Yeah. I think it really got full force when I like completely hit burnout, and like during that COVID time when I was like, I didn't have a job. I just moved across the country without my friends and family, and we just kind of felt stuck. And I was like actually at like a complete burnout. Like my blood work, I got back, and my doctor was like, you're like pre-diabetic stress level. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm a health coach. This could not, like, I'm having an identity crisis. Like, you can't tell
I'm
me
calm.
that.
I'm calm, doc.
I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, you have to switch something up. So then I was like, shit. Like, so I just really started. And then I was always one of those people, I was like, I don't want like the fluffy like morning routine that like takes 17 hours and whatever. And I was like, I want to figure out like, here's a list of stuff that I want to do. Here's stuff I'm already doing. How can I pair those together so it takes me the same amount of time or less? Like what's the most efficient way to get stuff done? So like when I'm sitting and watching TV, I'm gonna have 17 things on my face.
Right.
So like what else can I do? And when I'm walking, like how can I make that more intentional? And like what are those things you just stack them together.
Right. Are you one of those people that has a face mask on while you're walking outside?
No.
I've seen a lot of people do that.
Really?
Yes. I don't know if I can, but I mean, to each their own.
I mean, I definitely do laundry, and my laundry's outside. So like I'll go, and I have like that face mask that's like brown and sticky and smells. So I'm just like walking outside. I'm like, this is very strange.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what are some examples of things that you do whenever you are, watching TV or, working at a desk? What are some ways that people can like start to prioritize wellness while they're doing their day-to-day activities?
My go-to stack at the moment is compression boots from Normatec.
Ooh, yes.
With the PEMF on my lap.
That sounds amazing.
Then I'll do a red light mask, either from Solo Wave or Higher Dose. Or I will do a face gym, like their electromagnetic like device that just like tightens your face. Or I'll do, their body has like these sleep goggles that just like massage your eyes.
Ooh, those are so nice.
I'll do all of that. And when I was like traveling, I literally would come back and like crave. I'm like, oh my God, I need to like get back to my wellness tools. And I was like, no one talk to me. I'm home, but I don't want to see anyone. I'm just on my couch like a loser.
You're like, I need my alone time.
Yeah, I was like, I'm recharging. I'm so excited to see you. I was like, cool, I'm not. I will be on my couch by myself, de-stressing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's amazing. And I think it's worth the investment because to be like completely honest, I like feel a million times better. I haven't been doing this for like that long. And I told you whenever I walked in, I was like, I'm so tired. I'm like so heavily caffeinated.
Yeah.
And now I just feel like way more relaxed. Is that normal?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like, it's working.
Fabulous.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I would love to hear more about just like your routines too.
Yeah.
What does your AM, PM look like? I'd love to hear about your travel routines too. Like if there's anything specific that you do personally.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start with travel. No, we'll start with AM, PM because then that goes into travel.
Yes.
So my like 3 like major non-negotiables are delaying caffeine upon waking. at least 60 minutes, getting a walk in and getting exposure to light, and not touching my phone for the first 90 minutes. Those are like my non-negotiables regardless. I'll bring those when I travel, and that's what I'll do every morning. And they're so simple, but they're like just such a game changer. And the biggest thing I could say is that like the rationale for the caffeine is because your body is automatically like producing cortisol and serotonin in the body naturally. Mm-hmm. So when you use caffeine, it's mimicking that and telling your body it doesn't have to. So like you might as well like ride out what naturally is in your body and then supplement with caffeine after to have like a longer, like to delay the crash.
Right.
Otherwise you're just like, your body is like, oh, why do I need to produce it on my own if you're just going to feed it to me artificially?
Right.
So you just have this like your crash just happens much earlier.
Do you think that it's important to eat before having caffeine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I'm reading this book right now, and a lot of people have a really hard time not drinking their coffee first thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it obviously becomes a habit and ritual. But I even heard that if you just like kind of glam up your coffee a little bit, whether that's like MCT oil, maybe some collagen, that can like make a significant difference in your glucose levels.
Totally.
But yeah, what is your like go-to breakfast usually before your caffeine?
So what I do, I have this I wake up around like 7:30ish, and then at 9 I'll have my matcha, but I do a loaded matcha. So I do matcha with chia seed, Truvani protein, cashew milk, a bunch of adaptogens, and then sometimes MCT oil. So I have like the fiber from the chia seed. I have, collagen also. I have like 40 grams of protein between the Truvani and the collagen, a little bit of fat from the milk, and if I do MCT oil. And it just like keeps it like balanced. So my glucose is just like stable from it. So I'm like still getting that caffeine. I don't have to like take time to like sit down and have breakfast. I'm having a matcha while I'm doing work.
Smart. I think that's a really great hack for people that do have to have caffeine like first thing in their body. Yeah. First thing in the morning.
Yeah. Add some protein in there.
Add some protein, fats. Yeah. All of that. I think that's genius. I'm gonna have to do that. I'm a matcha girl too. I've been drinking a lot of coffee this past week. I don't know why. Yeah. But okay, so AM, those are your non-negotiables. What does your nighttime routine look like after a long day of work?
I like to like consciously not look at emails after like 8 p.m.
Smart.
So like if something, because I know I just get so aggravated or like what I'll do is I'll try to solve it. I won't answer the email, and then my entire dream will be me replying to the email. Like I'm just like crazy like that, I guess.
Turns
but
off.
like, just like I'm just going through it, and like I don't want that for me. So I just stop responding to emails is my big one. Trying not to, I don't have a TV in my room.
Same.
In my bedroom. And I think that that's a dark hole. So I try to like keep your bedroom separate. And then I do these like wellness hacks.
I love it. I love it. It sounds so relaxing.
Yeah.
So when you travel, because a part of your brand is making sure that people feel rejuvenated after travel.
Yep.
Do you do anything specific on the plane? Do you like prep for the plane? What does your like post-flight situation look like? I want to know all of your details for that.
I make my own wellness kit.
Okay, cute.
So I just pack up a lot of different things in there that will support me. And so a lot of times I'll bring my own matcha, like matcha travel sticks. I'll bring some like chia seeds, and I'll bring protein. So that way sometimes I bring my own like tiny little handheld blender. So that way I know like if I don't have time.
You're so funny. I love that.
It's really extra. So like I know like, okay, if I don't have time to like go get a breakfast or like whatever, I can just whip up some protein and matcha in the hotel room. And I'll bring like ketones with me. I'll bring Symbiotica, all the Symbiotica things like creatine. I basically just like a lot of supplements that are easy to just throw into your bag. And I just bring those all with me, like digestive enzymes, vitamin B, lots of element for hydration. So I bring all of those with me. And then my like hacks when I'm traveling is just like to eat, I'll be conscious about the meals that I'm going to indulge in. Like I think when you're traveling, you definitely have to experience the food and drink like where you are. But it does not have to be for every single meal.
No,
so I agree. Be so intentional. Like if you're going to have a great meal, like maybe pick like 2 or 3 dinners that week and like really enjoy those. And then the rest of the time, just like be more mindful about what you're consuming. Like,
I think
it doesn't
it's
have
fun
to be.
because I went to Mexico City recently by myself and I had so much fun looking for places that were organic or grass fed or just like finding little ways to incorporate what my normal diet would look like by finding these like really cool innovative restaurants and it's really cool how it's booming everywhere, like all over the world, and you can find like those little avenues and
it's so fun to find like the good matcha spots or the good salad spots, and even just like finding workouts, like fun workout classes. Like when I was in Amsterdam, like they had like the most insane like workout options, and it was like going to a club, as you can imagine. Right. So like I try to like just do classes and just like keep it fun and just like make sure movement is still part of when I travel.
I actually, this was my first solo travel, actually. It was in Spain in August.
Oh, okay.
And I thought it would be so fun the entire time to just take workout classes in all Spanish.
Oh.
And I speak Spanish, but not well at all.
Yeah.
And it actually helped me just learn new words because in workout classes, they're repeating a lot of the same terms and phrases. And a lot of the same things that are said in group fitness here. So it actually was so helpful. And I remember watching this TED Talk forever ago, and the person was multilingual, and they have like conferences all the time about people that are multilingual, and people really like to come together and celebrate that.
Oh, yeah.
And the number one thing that she had found is that the reason all those people were able to learn multiple languages is because they found a way to do it that made it fun.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think that's like my new thing is going to different countries and trying workout classes in a different language. So
I love that.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
So in Amsterdam, was it in all English?
It was,
I feel like they speak a lot of English.
They go back
there.
and forth a lot. There was like a couple that like for the first like 20 minutes he was like just speaking Dutch, and then he like figured out that I like had no idea what he was talking about. And he's like, "Oh, we can switch to English. It's okay." I was like, "I didn't want to like interrupt your vibe." But yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. I think if somebody was speaking Dutch to me, I would be like, I have literally no idea what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, that's amazing. And I feel like whenever I travel now, I am just like, I almost feel hungover. Every single time I travel. Anytime I'm on a plane, I feel like I'm so puffy.
Yep.
I feel like I am so dehydrated. My body is just all whacked out.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that you have like this methodology to just creating a more peaceful environment post-travel and making sure that you feel good in your body and you have all of like your routinal things with you.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So speaking of routines, I would love to talk more about your burnout and just burnout in general, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs can get burnt out very easily, but I honestly think like a little bit more recently in the wellness space, I actually experienced burnout like a few months ago, just doing like the same old things that I was doing all the time. And I kind of had to shift gears and pivot and try out some new things. And I feel like I got a new resurgence of energy within the space. But I feel like burnout is very real, whether it's professionally or like even in your personal day to day.
Yeah.
So what are some tips that you can give to us to avoid burnout?
Well, I would say I'm not like, it's still a concept that I deal with like all the time.
Yeah.
Like I literally a couple of weeks ago or last week, I think I like had stress hives for the first time because I was just like, I was like, what's going on? So it's, you know, as you're grinding, it comes and goes. But I would say like kind of like I
am such an empath. I like just started itching my arm.
My God.
I'm like, no, you had stress hives. I'm like literally like itching myself now.
Oh my God, you're so sweet. But I think like the best thing that like has really keeping me centered is like realizing like it's okay to say no to things and just like having boundaries. Because I think a lot of times burnout comes from one of two things. Like you're either saying yes to too much, or you're saying like you're not doing the right things. So like if you're doing the right things, you're saying yes to the right things, and there's a lot of like gratitude that comes from that. It's not, you can grind in a different way that if you were just saying yes to things that like you absolutely hate and regret and resent for saying yes to, you're going to hit burnout a lot faster. So I think just being able to distinguish and like be okay with saying no to stuff. And I'm adding back meditation into my morning routines because I think like that, like really just setting my nervous system down and calming it from the get-go is like, I cut it out when like things get busy, but that's when you need it the most.
Exactly.
And it just like really primes you so you're not getting the burnout.
What type of meditations do you flock towards?
I do TM, Transcendental, which is basically, are you familiar with that one?
A little bit.
Yeah, the process, it's pretty woo-woo, but it's more of just like you have a mantra that they assign to you and you just like keep saying that word over and over. So I just do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. You just set a timer and that's what you do.
I do it when I'm doing my red light mask, which automatically has a timer for 20 minutes. So I stack those two things. So I'm sitting with the red light mask and then I'm just doing my meditation. And then I think the thing too with meditation is like that thoughts will come in. And a lot of times I'll get like a lot of creative ideas. Literally when I was meditating, that's what I was like, oh my God, I'm going to make a non-alcoholic martini and I'm going to bring the PEMF. Like that's where I like thought of this for this podcast. So you can let the creative ideas come in, but then just like let them go out as well.
Yeah, I love that. So I know that you travel a ton and you just literally went all around the world. Basically, you went to Montreal, you went to New York, Connecticut, you went to Miami, basically went in like a giant circle. I'm sure I like even forgot about some place.
Dallas,
San Francisco.
Martha's Vineyard, San Francisco. Yeah.
I can't keep track of where you are and what you're doing, but I think it's incredible. And I would love to hear your opinion about dating as an entrepreneur and like being on the go and like being able to just be able to make that a priority, if even.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. It's fun to like match with people in new cities because then you like get to experience like if you're by yourself, I travel by myself like 90% of the time.
Same. Now.
yeah. Like until that changes, me and my dog comes with me everywhere. So I like meeting new people and like matching with people like new cities and experiencing places from their point of view.
Right.
And like going to nice dinners and just getting dressed up and whatever. But I think like it just also on the flip end, it just makes my time like just so much more valuable. Where I want to be so intentional about like who I'm spending time with that like it takes a lot to like get me out on like a Friday or Saturday night. I'm like, are you going to be worth it? Like,
right.
Like, you know, like there's other things I could be doing. But I think it's hard.
Dating app culture is really interesting because most of the time whenever I do connect with people, there's maybe like a 2 out of 10 chance that I'm actually going to meet up with them, which is horrible because like that's the whole point.
Right.
But I feel like it's hard whenever you're like a very like not even like self-preservation, but like you're very protective of your energy and your space. Like you almost don't really need anybody.
Right.
And I always tell people that I'm like, I'm kind of nervous because I've gotten so independent that like I don't really need to rely on anybody or like feel like I need this person for validation.
Right.
So, you know, if I like don't feel like going out one night, I'm just not going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of something that makes it difficult too, is like really going out of your comfort zone and just like trying and practicing and, you know, going through the motions and seeing if it's worth your while.
I feel like it's just like you just like keep falling off the horse. It's like how many times you're going to get back on. Like,
absolutely.
It's just like my like funny story is like I went on a date with, do you know Carnivore MD?
No.
Like Paul Saladino. He's the one who like is just eats only meat and like is really,
he started the movement.
Yes.
Okay.
And like now he's switched. He's not full carnivore, but he's like on this seed oil hack. And I like saw him on Hinge and I was like, oh my God, this is my dream like date. I was like, he's in like the wellness industry. Like we'll have so much to talk about. I remember the first time like on our call, we talked for like an hour about my blood work.
Wow.
He was like, your blood work's sexy. I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. And I thought we went on a date to Erewhon and he like showed me all of his favorite things down the aisles. And I was like, this is like the most like quintessential like LA date.
It really sounds like something out of a fairy tale.
Yeah.
An
totally.
LA fairy tale.
An LA wellness girl fairy tale. And I was like so excited. And then it didn't, like, he was so regimented in, like, his wellness routines. I just was like, I don't think I can, like, do that.
Like, this isn't working.
This isn't working for me.
Oh my gosh. And like coming from somebody that's very well versed in the wellness space, that says a lot.
Yes. Yeah. That was like, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go for someone like in my industry. And that was a fail. So
it's really funny. I have a friend who's a functional medicine nutritionist, and she always comes to me after her dates and is like, I gave them another health screening. She's like, I didn't mean to. It happened. They asked me questions, and then I gave them a free consult. And it's just like so funny how like people date within this space.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can go off on tangents, or you can find somebody that's like interested in the same things and maybe doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And I think there's like a lot of like funny just situations that can kind of stem from that. So that's a good story.
Yeah. And then I was at the car wash yesterday or the day before, and then this like old man comes over to me and he's like, I'm a doctor. Can I recommend someone to you? And I was like, for what? I was like, are you diagnosing me? I was like, what vibe am I giving off that I like need a doctor? And then I was like, I'm just waiting for my car to get washed.
I'm okay.
I was like, I'm fine. And he is like, no, like I have someone I want to introduce you to. And I was like, okay. He's like, I'm not diagnosing you. I was like, okay. And then he was like, so he's a doctor. He's like a very like well-rounded guy. He's, you know, not married, doesn't have any kids. Just a really great guy. Like I would love for you to meet him. And I was like, okay. I was like, does he have Instagram? Like, can I find him? Like, what does this said man look like? And he's like, no. And I was like, okay, well, how old is he? And he's like, well, he's 54 and I'm 35. So, or I'll be 35. And he was like, I was like, oh, that's a little old. And I was like, okay. And then he goes, well, it's actually me. I was like, what? And he was like, I want to take you out. I was like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. Like, not cute.
I like hate how he set that up.
Yes.
That was a horrible setup.
It was a horrible setup, and I felt so uncomfortable. And the chairs we were all sitting in was like a semicircle, so everyone was like witness to this conversation. My car had like a good 10 minutes left before it was ready, and I was just like, okay, well, he's like, so what do you think? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Like, I was like, that was a really weird plot twist.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I don't. Okay. And I was like, I think the age is just too much.
Yeah.
Like, what who does that?
That was a good excuse.
Who does that?
Yeah. I hate that for you. It's funny. Being asked out in person or just on the street or organically is always so uncomfortable. And I think that's like what every woman kind of wishes for. But then whenever it happens, you're like, this is horrible. Yeah. I was walking home and I had been out all day running errands. And this was like a week or two ago. And I walked up to my building and this guy kind of like does a double take. And like, he was like a deer in headlights. And I was like, okay, this guy's about to say something really weird. And he was like my age, I guess. I'm 27, but he like looked a little disheveled. I don't know how to explain it. Okay. And I was kind of concerned because I was like okay, this guy's looking at me like something crazy is about to happen. Yeah. He's like, what gym do you go to?
Oh my God.
Oh, I go to Equinox. He was like, which location? 76? And I was like, I just kind of switch it up, like wherever I am.
Yeah.
He's like, so you're not loyal? And I was like, I guess not. And he was like, do you live here? And immediately my mind was about to be like, yes. And then I stopped myself and I was like, no, I'm just visiting a friend. Like, thank God.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, like, let me get your number. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I have a boyfriend.
Yeah. Of course.
Like the most common excuse ever. Yeah. I feel like so many people have had to use that line before.
Yes.
But he was like, no, you don't.
He called you out.
I was like, no, like I do. And he was like, no, you don't. And I was like, I swear. And he was like, I know that you don't because I can tell. And I was like, I'm going to go. Nice to meet you.
Oh my God.
And I'm like terrified. I hope he doesn't like camp out in front of my apartment.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
You have to be careful with strangers.
Yes.
I recently had a video that like got like
I
a few
saw
million views.
that.
And it
That
was
was
about,
insane.
yeah, I mean, I had a friend tell me that it may have been some sort of urban legend that got passed around because everyone in the comments is saying that. And I'm like, oh, I actually was told the story. But yeah, it's interesting because Glenn Powell actually recently accidentally did that as well.
Oh my God.
I think that's what happens. People tell stories and they'll like try to make it valid by saying it's like a friend or a family member. And then like it just gets passed through the grapevine. But there were so many women in the comments that were saying that something extremely similar happened to them. And yeah, you just really have to be careful.
Oh my God.
Especially traveling.
Yeah.
You never know.
I know. I share my location with everyone.
Well, speaking of, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They know where you are.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of traveling, I have one last question for you.
Yes.
So if you were to drink a martini in a bikini, where would you be and what would you be drinking?
I'm really digging the Middle East recently. So I think I would say in Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi at this gorgeous hotel called the Anatara.
Yeah.
And I'd be drinking a skinny mezcalita. I
love that. Yes. I love mezcal.
Yeah. It's great.
So yum. Or this.
Yeah, or this.
Obsessed. A well-spirited drink.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Ali. This was so fun.
Of course.
And I love all of the little toys and the beautiful drink. It's been lovely.
Thank you for
You're a great
me.
bartender. And you just have such good energy.
Thanks.
And I can tell that all these like micro habits and wellness tips and, all the different tools that you use and modalities are really just like a source of energy for you and bringing a lot of positivity into people's lives. So it's amazing. But I would love for you to share how people can be friends, how they can connect, maybe how they can host an event with you.
Yeah.
And you guys, I didn't even mention this, but Ali has worked with some like incredible brands like Poosh and big corporate companies like KPMG. Like you are like the real deal Goop.
Yep.
Goop.
Yep.
I'm a big Goop fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you happen to work for one of those companies or something similar, I would love for you to share how people can connect.
Yeah.
How they can potentially work with you and maybe anything else that you have upcoming, whatever you want to share.
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at MyWellCo. And if you send me an email, Ali at MyWellCo, ALI, I have a trend report that I can share with anyone who's interested on all the wellness trends of this year and connect with me there.
Yes, absolutely. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
This was so fun.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for coming on. It was honestly an honor and this was so fun. But if you guys liked this episode, please feel free to like, rate, and subscribe to Martinis and Bikinis on Spotify or Apple Podcast. I will love you forever. And I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.